Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. This is a tutorial on Risk Classic Fixed. So that's the first game that everybody learns. No fog, no portals, no blizzards, and using fixed cards, no capitals, the regular game. So if you follow the principles here, you'll be a decently competent player, better than many players that play the game they've played for a long time. And also these principles, if you watch any good player, you'll see that every good player follows the principles that I'll be sharing here. And these are very easy to learn. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is how you gain troops and how you lose troops. So there's two ways to gain troops and two ways to lose troops. So one way to gain troops is from bonuses, and then the other is from cards. And the two ways of losing troops are by attacking other players and by being attacked by them. And you can think of that as a collision. So if you want to minimize losing troops, you want to minimize collisions. And that forms the basic idea of a strategy, especially at the beginning of the game, that all good players follow. And that is minimize collisions. Okay, the default move, especially at the beginning of the game, is find a territory with one unit, attack it, take your card, and fortify your stack. And that, just learning that one simple thing will go a long ways to moving you along the way to becoming a better player. Then a second thing, so the two fundamental things I would say to learn first, very easy to learn, is one is the default move, and then the second is the dice math. So the dice math is with balanced splits, which is how most games are played. To have a 100% chance, you need 4 when attacking 1, 6 when attacking a 2, and 7 when attacking a 3. So you want to attack 1 whenever possible to get your card. So have 4 on it, take your 1. Sometimes you have to attack a 2, make sure you've got 6 on there. Now if you try a 5 on 2, for example, the chances of success are very high, over 90%, but the risk of failure is really bad, because if you try a 5 against a 2 and you fail, then you lose the troops. It'll go down to 1 and 1, and you will have not gotten a card. And similarly with a 6v3, very high success rate, but if you fail, you've lost basically 5 troops and accomplished nothing. So you definitely want to be, I mean, there are some exceptions, which I won't go into, but by far and away, almost all the time, you want to have 100% chance on your rolls. And so these are 3 basic numbers to learn, very easy to learn. Okay, and then this math here isn't quite right that the AI did, because this is showing if it were not balanced splits, but the random dice, then you'd have a 95% chance. But with balanced splits, they'll raise it up to 100% chance. So these are the numbers that you'll want to learn. Okay, then the next fundamental skill would be, you can figure this out at the very first 1 or 2 plays. You want to know who is good at the game and who is bad. I'm using that in a very general sense, because you won't know necessarily that just because they're following these principles that they're good, but you'll know that they aren't horrible. And that is, do they follow the default move? Okay. And then the second thing is, are their attacks 4v1, 6v2, 7v3? So if you watch somebody in their first 2 moves and they do these 2 things, they follow the default move and they make these solid dice rolls, then they may be a good player. At least they're not horrible. If they do those 2 things, probably they're not horrible. And what you want to do is identify the horrible players, because the horrible players you want to stay away from because you don't know what they're going to do. So you want to find out who is horrible to start with and get out of their way, and just concentrate on building up your stack. Let's see, I wanted to go back on this. Let me see if this shows. No, this isn't it. Let's see if this one has it. Yes, this will get to it. All right, let me go ahead and skip to here. So this is talking about the difference of card farming as opposed to going for a bonus. Okay, so what you want to do is minimize the troops that you lose while you maximize the troops that you gain. And in the beginning of the game, the way to do that is the default move. You want to minimize collisions. So if you go after a single card, that's not going to make anyone angry, so they're not going to want to hit you. And the way the math works is you get somewhere between 2 and 3 troops on the average when you get a card. So to attack one troop is obviously the least expensive thing that you can do, so that's advantageous. You gain almost as much or more even than holding a bonus, depending on the bonus. So you gain more than holding Australia or South America by attacking a troop. And you don't have the disadvantage of fighting with other people, because nobody cares if you're taking a card. What people care about, especially less experienced players, are the bonuses. So you don't want to fight for bonuses at the beginning of the game. You want to just take your card, build up your stack, watch what's going on, figure out what people want, and stay out of their way. And then later on, you can see, okay, I mean, especially if somebody's been killed. Once you can figure out that there's, technically speaking, there's 6 continents, 6 bonuses, but Asia doesn't count because Asia's just a place for trading cards. So there's 5 continents, 5 players once somebody gets killed. So once somebody gets killed, then you can see where their bonuses are, and then you can maneuver yourself and go to the area where people aren't interested and take your bonus safely. So that's a very clever way to go about it. Just figure out what people want, stay out of the way, and build up your stack. Just take your card. So here we have the card farmer is 0 collisions, minimize collisions. You're under the radar. You grab your cards, and you get in position to make kills. That's the basic strategy. I'll talk more about killing in just a moment. Now, if you go after bonuses, then that is a very risky strategy early in the game, because somebody else might want the same bonus that you're interested in, and you become a visible target, and you're not gaining as much as you are from the cards early on. Now, later on, as the game stabilizes, yes, you definitely want to have bonuses, but at the very beginning, you want to take your time, see where people are going, stay out of the way. And if you have to hit like a 3 or a 4 in order to get your bonus, you're losing more troops than you're gaining. That's the point. And if you watch good players, a lot of times you'll see the good player, every good player is going to follow the strategy that I'm outlining. And what you'll see happening is that a person that's interested in getting a bonus, they extend themselves too much. They finally get their bonus, they're North America, and then the good player kills them. You'll see that over and over again. Okay, let me go back to this type here positioning. So this is just an example of, like, you figure out somebody wants South America and you're in Brazil. Well, get out of the way. So hopefully you wouldn't have put yourself in this position where you have building up lots of troops where somebody else is in. But you can tell from this that, like, a good strategy is build up a big stack somewhere in Asia. That's a really good strategy because nobody wants Asia. You're out of the way. And from Asia, you can see where people are wanting to go, and you can go. The only place you can't easily get to is South America, which is a horrible continent to be holding anyway. So from Asia, you can see if Europe's available, if North America's available, if Australia's available, or Africa. You have a lot of flexibility there, and also you're well lined up for kills, which is the last tab to get to. So this is what you really want to get good at, is lining up kills. So the skills to master for lining up kills is, one is tracking troops. You want to know who is killable, and here the AI kind of minimized. It said like 5 to 8 troops. Actually, you can make profitable kills when players have more than that, quite a bit more. But you want to get used to figuring out who is killable. So just make it second nature that you're always following how many troops people have, and you're getting yourself in position, and you're ready for the sweet spot. So the sweet spot is if they miss the trade on 3. So if they're on 4 or 5 cards and they don't have that many troops and you're lined up to kill them, those are the scenarios you want to be looking for. And then you want to practice the math. You want to be able to see where their troops are and have enough troops that you can be in position to make the kills. Well, that's it. That's what I wanted to share. So the 2 basic skills to learn right off is learn the default move, and then the second is 4v1, 6v2, 7v3. And if I add a third thing, it would be like just figure out what people want and stay out of the way. And you can easily get in the top 3 and virtually all of your games just by learning those 3 things. And then like getting up from there to like, winning, and second place involves, higher level skills, especially psychology. But these are the basic ideas here, is these basic ideas that I've shared here. The default move, figure out who is bad at the game, stay out of their way, and learn the 4v1, 6v2, 7v3, the solid roles. Well, thanks for watching, and until next time.